Star Wars Tales of the Jedi. It is something I didn't expect to be watching today. Um, it was really something special. It really was. And look, a bunch of Star Wars animated shorts. It sounds kind of like, okay, you're going to get a bunch of little shorts here and we're going to watch them, and it's going to be something kind of cool to watch. We've got some animated stuff going on right now with Star Wars. You get the Bad Batch they've been making, which is arguably one of the more decent things that Disney Star Wars has been making right now. And ever since, I'd say, the Bad Batch even ended, we really haven't had any really, really good Star Wars. We just haven't. It just hasn't been that way with Disney, and it just sucks. But Tales of the Jedi is something that is just so wildly different than we've gotten in the past year for Star Wars. It is insane. And the saddest thing is, this alone isn't going to help or save anything for Star Wars in general. They need to do more of this. That's what they need to do. So Star Wars Tales of the Jedi, we've known now that it's going to be Ahsoka and Count Dooku. We're going to have these two stories separated here. 3 episodes each, and this is kind of like an average between 10 to 15, 16 minute episodes. And that's as much time as we need. Honestly, even the shortest one was probably one of the best ones of the season, I guess you could say. I don't know. It was just crazy. So it was split up in a weird way. We start out the first 6 episodes here, and we start out with episode 1 with being Ahsoka. We get to introduce Ahsoka and basically her as a baby. We literally get to see the story with her and her mother, and Ahsoka, discovering that she is, force sensitive in a way, and she kind of interacts with the wildlife of the planet she's born on. And that's really, really cool to see, honestly. It was a really cool story. It was very interesting, very different. And it was just kind of a more of an origin for Ahsoka. And I guess it's fine. We didn't really need it, if I'm being honest, but it was still a really good story. I really liked it. And again, the visuals for all this animated stuff, the Clone Wars style animation they've been doing here under Disney, I will say under Disney, it's been the next level. It really has. Clone Wars, Bad Batch, despite what you might think about certain stories or whatnot, the animation has been top notch and it's been great. And then we jump right into Count Dooku's story. We get it 2, 3, and 4. We get it right out of the way. And the Count Dooku story is by far the best story of the Tales of the Jedi season. We literally get to see him with a young Qui-Gon Jinn, and him younger as well. It's before the Clone Wars and everything like that, before episode 1, and we get to see his beginnings of distrust in the Jedi and the Jedi Order and the Council. And we all know that Count Dooku ended up leaving ultimately because he just didn't trust the Council, and he thought the Jedi were losing their way, and they didn't stand for the right things. And he's more of a big politician within the Clone Wars, obviously. And we get to see this path and this journey. The first one's more of a Qui-Gon and Dooku story before episode 1. The second episode, still before episode 1, it's a younger Mace Windu and him, and they get to go back to Raxus. I think we saw that in Bad Batch. And we get to see them interact and just see more of Dooku's kind of slow turn into really just not liking the Jedi and the way they operate. And he's really losing his faith in the Jedi. And he sees that with every mission that he goes on. And then the 4th episode was, I think this is my favorite episode of the season here, I guess you could call it. I don't know, these 6 episodes. The best one for me is episode 4, The Sith Lord. I think it's the second longest one. Yeah, the longest one I think is Life and Death, the first one with Ahsoka. But the second, one of the longest ones here, The Sith Lord, best one by far. For me at least. You get to have Yaddle come in too, which is basically a character that I think they've done some stuff with her in the expanded universe stuff and legend stuff, whatever you want to call it, but they're introducing her story here within canon, and I think it works really great. I don't know her story personally in the legends. I know it's out there, trust me, I know it's out there, I just don't remember what it was. But her death, because she doesn't really appear anywhere else, she appears on the Jedi Council in episode 1, and she just kind of vanishes from there. And she ultimately finds out what Dooku's up to, and he's been planning and plotting with the whole Camino thing and everything with Darth Sidious. So once we hit episode 4, Count Dooku has already begun his path to the dark side. He's already serving under Palpatine, and Qui-Gon Jinn, we actually get to see he came back from a mission where he thought he faced a Sith Lord, which was Darth Maul. So this whole episode here takes place during episode 1, and the end of the episode ends with Qui-Gon Jinn. They find out he's dead, and it really just turns Dooku, and ultimately Yaddle follows Dooku to where Dooku and Palpatine usually meet up, and she finds out about the whole plan, and Dooku essentially kills Yaddle, and that's how Yaddle dies in this canon, in Disney's canon. And just wow, I am really, really just blown away. I really am. Maybe it's because we're just so deprived of such good Star Wars. Dave Filoni just delivers. Okay, I know there's some people out there who just don't like Dave Filoni. Maybe the certain things he does. Maybe he's the cameo master. Some people don't like him doing cameos and tons of stuff all over the place. I get it. But he can really tell a story. And I am blown away. I really am. Maybe it's just coming off the high of watching it for the first time. But the Dooku story was fantastic. It really was. And I want more. I just want more of it. I really, really want more. Then we move on and we get the last 2 Ahsoka episodes. And episode 5 was probably my second favorite of the episodes. It's essentially Anakin training Ahsoka through the Clone Wars. We could see her progression as a young Padawan where they don't seem to know each other as well. And then we got kind of like that season 3 transition, their designs that we see in season 3 to season 5 really. And we get to see their style of designs and their outfits from then, so we can kind of get that timeline set. And then the end of the episode basically ends with Ahsoka having known her training from Anakin, her walking in the Venator ship with Captain Rex, and it's a cutscene from Clone Wars Season 7 where she's about to go face all the clones that are in the hangar bay, and her and Rex are going to go and try to convince them to stand down or something like that. Just something like that happened like the last episode of Clone Wars Season 7. And it was really well done. His practice that he made her do, all the training that he made her do, that Anakin made Ahsoka do throughout those years, basically helped her survive Order 66. And I think that is really cool because, obviously with Order 66, she survived and she was able to dodge all the blaster bolts of the clones during the initial set of Order 66, and we kind of got how she did that and how she trained, and I think that's really cool. Episode 6, Resolve, I think the beginning is beautiful with Ahsoka actually ending up at Padme's funeral, and then she ends up running off, interacting with Bail Organa, and she kind of basically gets that rebellion connection with him, and we know she becomes Fulcrum later in Star Wars Rebels. But the first beginning of that episode is like the Padme funeral stuff. It's right after Order 66 in Season 7, so we get to see where her and Rex are kind of at that point. And then the last bit of the episode was kind of boring to me. It was, again, I'm saying this was like boring in terms of like, this was still incredible, but it was slower. And Ahsoka was kind of essentially just kind of out on a planet, kind of laying low. You can tell she's using a fake name, the Ashla name, and she ends up fighting an Inquisitor, a Star Wars, Imperial Inquisitor. They've been throwing the Inquisitors everywhere. He looked really cool. He comes in at the end. He basically wipes out this village that she's at. He comes in at the end. He looks really cool. He sounds really cool. I really love the design they gave him, but as the Inquisitors usually are, they're just pretty weak, and they just they're not good. They're just not good. They always just seem to be very weak. I don't know. That's just my impression there. But despite the Grand Inquisitor was pretty cool in Star Wars Rebels. But the Inquisitors are really nothing to talk about, really. They're just, yeah, I don't know. I thought the fight with Ahsoka and the Inquisitor was just really quick. And I mean, it's fine. It's supposed to be a little Star Wars short. It's supposed to be a limited story here, so I get why they did made it pretty quickly. But the lightsaber that she gets from that Inquisitor, I believe, are the sabers that she gets later on, the white sabers, and she purifies the crystal or whatever, and she makes her white lightsabers from the double-bladed saber of the Inquisitor, and essentially it ends with her contacting Bail Organa and basically wants to join the rebellion. And I kind of started to go through the episodes here, but I am just blown away. And Tales of the Jedi is just something that is what we need for Star Wars. Because Star Wars right now, you've seen my channel. If you see my channel, I'm very critical. I've been doing reviews of Andor and stuff, but I've been so critical of Star Wars and Disney and Lucasfilm, Kathleen Kennedy, everything they've been doing over the years, and just how they've ran Star Wars into such a low point. I think it's at a very low point right now. And I think right now, this is the stuff we need. This is the stuff that Star Wars has needed from the beginning. Ever since Disney took over, they should be doing things like this. Let Dave Filoni do stories. Okay? I'm being honest. Let Dave Filoni do these stories. Whether there's some people out there who don't like Dave Filoni, I don't really care. There are a lot of people who like Dave Filoni. I am one of those people. I like the stories that he tells. I love the Clone Wars. I really like Rebels. I like the stories that he does. I really like his take on Star Wars. I think it's great. And maybe he's the cameo master, so be it. But he can really tell a story. I think he really can. And I just need him to do more Star Wars. And I'm hoping that Ahsoka show's good, because I know he is doing that show along with Mandalorian, all that stuff. That's the stuff I'm really interested in still. I know Star Wars is in a tough place right now. I get it. But Dave Filoni is still... The animated Dave Filoni stuff, it is great. It is great stuff. And if you've been just so down on Star Wars as of late, like I have been, go watch this. You will just, for a few moments, for like an hour, you will just forget about the stuff they've been doing for the past year, the stuff that just the mediocre TV series that just aren't that great. You'll just forget about it for an hour, and you'll just see some really great stuff. I think it's really great stuff. And right after this was finished, I thought about Kenobi again, that series, and it hurt. It hurt so bad, because I did not like the Obi-Wan Kenobi series. I thought it was just incredibly bad, and it's just, when you compare something like Obi-Wan Kenobi series to this, it is incredibly, vastly different. Like, it is so vastly different. When you can tell with someone who understands Star Wars and someone who has literally no idea what they're doing with Star Wars with Kenobi. Like, it is incredibly, incredibly different, and I hope we get more of Tales of the Jedi. I hope we get a whole series. We need more. I want to see the Bad Batch, okay? The Bad Batch was a little slow, I get it, but the Bad Batch is the animated Dave Filoni stuff, and I'm just curious to see where that show's going to go, and that's where I'm interested right now, and I want more of Tales of the Jedi. I think we can do some really good stuff here, but Tales of the Jedi, really good show, guys. Go watch it. It is some good Star Wars, finally, and I hope we get more. I really do, because I think we desperately need it.